All right, hello everybody. My name is Master Chen.
This is Doxy.
And I'm Richard Satchel.
And you are either watching or listening to Greynoise. This is episode 193 of the podcast where today we will call ourselves socially active, and you'll see why in a second. We are here live. It is Friday night, 7:30 p.m. or shortly after here at the Sin Shop. The address is 1075 American Pacific Drive, Suite C in Henderson, Nevada. I don't see a crux around. It's been a while, so I got to let you know that we are still the Las Vegas Valley hackerspace. So come on down. Hang out with us. Join us. Become one of us. Sinshop.org for information on the shop. Go to meetup.com/Sinshop for classes and things scheduled and what we do here. And that's that. Go to Greynoise for information on us. That's GREYNOI.SE. Also remember, we are on Discord. We're on Discord like 7 days a week, but specifically tonight, a lot of the action will be in the live stream channel of our Discord, and you can find that by going to Greynoise/Discord, and then we'll have links and whatnot in there. So we do hope that you join us. You can ask your questions, and actually these live stream chats lately have been very, very active on Friday nights.
All of the chats. You guys are talking too much. I can't keep up.
Yeah. Actually, another person said the same thing. Like, yeah. I can't catch up. But specifically, I'm talking about live stream. On Friday nights, they've been pretty active.
Kind of moving.
Yeah. So join the discussion. So let's see. There are some great announcements, actually. So the latest 2600 is out. That is the spring edition. And so go out and check it out. It's going to be at Barnes & Noble if you're not subscribed to it. If you are subscribed to it, check your mail. The call for papers for DEF CON is still open, and a bunch of other cons too for Hacker Summer Camp if you're preparing for that. Layer 8 out in Rhode Island has been announcing all of their stuff. And I bring that up because LabFox has been a part of that conference. So I want to say hi to LabFox out there. Right?
Hey, Fox.
And we got the wave. All right. And also, I just got accepted as a B-Sides Proving Ground mentor this year. So I'll be mentoring some new person who's working on their public speaking skills.
Gonna be my condolences.
I don't think it's going to be you.
Why not?
Because all the subjects that were created were not something that you would bring up as a public speaking topic.
You're right.
See, there you go. And sadly, of course, as you can see, Doxy is still wearing his cheese makes me drive heave shirt. This is going to be a long year for me, apparently.
Yes, it is.
But you know what's funny? He made the bet with himself, and I'm the one getting punished for it.
You know what? You know where my half of the bet is? Just seeing the disappointment in your face every week. That's enough joy for me.
Okay.
That's enough joy for me. You know, every day I come in, or every Friday I come in.
I think you sold him on it because he, for a while, for a good 2 weeks, Satchel was like, I don't think you could really make a bet with yourself.
Oh, longer than that.
Yeah.
Longer than that, because there's no downside for you.
There's no
Well,
downside.
now there seems to be, so now this legitimizes the bet.
It's more of an upside for him.
More than upside for me. It's not really
Yeah.
downside for you because I mean it has no effect on you. But
Up until right now, I was completely against it. Way more
Now,
than 2 weeks.
if I bleach the shirt
word.
and like if I accidentally, bleach, and like it ruins the image, does it still count as a cheese makes me dry heave shirt?
Of course.
Yes.
It's the same shirt.
Same
It's
shirt.
That shirt.
that's,
Yeah, and that's definitely assault. And that's not cool.
Not bleach on him, just the
like-
shirt.
So,
he's in order to get me to dye my hair, he's going to attack me.
yeah, right?
No. Anyway, all right. So as you can see, Zenify's not here. He's camping, I think, in the wilderness. That's what he didn't tell me, but I can only assume.
That makes sense. I can see Zenify camping.
I can see it.
Yeah, see, yes, it's not like completely far fetched. It's a total guess, but it's not a far
I can't
fetched.
see me camping.
No,
Absolutely
ever,
not.
never.
No, hell no.
Fuck no.
Nature? Fuck
Really?
that.
No, I love camping. I really do.
Oh, go ahead.
I like
Just
it.
more for you.
Anyways,
All right.
Plenty of room.
How's everybody's week?
so I use a Mac at work and I use a Windows at home, and I have
You
a
use
real
Windows?
a Windows machine at home. I have a real problem changing the keyboard layout, because like the command key and the control key, my fingers don't work the same anymore, and it's really annoying. That's all. That's it. There's
You know,
not-
you can
That's your
flip
reason.
them on whichever one you feel the most uncomfortable on.
that is true.
Why don't you just start using a Dvorak layout?
Do you? I don't. I've
Why
never
do that?
Yeah, I've never used that before, and I don't think that's something I would enjoy. Actually,
I'm just trying to make things more complicated for you.
I feel
do
like
it.
that would just piss me off in the long run.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's it. That's my week. It's just figuring out how to type normal.
My week just in general has pissed me off. So,
I
And
get,
sitting here next to me makes it all better, right, Satchel?
actually, kind of, yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, I was
Actually-
being sarcastic. But all right.
Actually,
Okay, cool. All right. Well, that
And
brings
plus-
us- we're Friday. It's Friday.
plus one
we're
more
Friday.
thing. I just learned that there's still a Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, the one right here on
Yeah,
Stephanie.
it's like a few minutes ago. Like I was
You
like,
just found out?
Barnes and Noble's a thing still?
Yeah, I go
That's.
there.
I think that's the only location here in Vegas.
Yeah.
Or no, I think there's still one on Maryland Parkway in Flamingo.
Well, let's find out.
I don't know. Find out. But I know that that's like one of the last stands of
Yeah.
Barnes Noble.
No,
There's one,
that's,
right?
That's it.
Oh, they closed the one down on.
Looks like it.
Do you guys value bookstores anymore? Like really?
Yes,
don't.
I go all the time. Not all the time. That's a stretch.
I was like,
That's
what the
a-
fuck are you talking
Don't
about?
go all the time. I've gone once in the last year. That
is
sounds
a
like a lot, though.
Oh,
no, twice.
There are two others.
I've gone twice.
Here in Vegas.
Yep.
Okay, so where are the other two?
One in Summerlin.
And one way
and
north.
One kind of north, yeah.
You guys-
Crossroads Commons.
If you guys value books, go support Barnes and Nobles and get a fucking book.
Get a fucking book.
Get a
eh?
fucking book.
I mean, I was in a Barnes and Noble like 2 weeks ago, actually.
I was too. Actually, I'm not kidding.
But I
was
didn't
there.
buy a book. I bought these little puzzles things for like $5, where they're like it's like a barrel or a cube that you have to take apart and then like put back together in that
Oh,
same.
yeah.
They got
You
those
mean-
at Cracker Barrel, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, probably. But I mean,
you-
like I found it at Barnes and Noble.
I would say they have them in like those escape rooms and the waiting rooms before
yeah?
you go into the room.
yeah, to
They have-
expand your
yeah,
mind,
they have little
right?
puzzles on the table and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, so that's what's going on this week. I guess there's
Nothing exciting.
nothing crazy. Yeah, it's been a weird week. It's like I think I figured out a pattern for myself.
Yeah.
So I try to be as productive as possible because it's me. But there always seems to be a day where like, even like no matter how hard I try to be productive and be on the ball, it's not that I get distracted. It's just really hard to like push me towards stuff to do. Like there's no creeping deadline. There's nothing that needs to be done tomorrow or by the end of the day. So I'm like, fuck.
So then you slack off.
No, it's not that I'm trying to actively be productive, but then I end up sitting there staring at the screen like I
Do you
can
think
do this
that's
later.
burnout?
I have exactly the opposite
I don't
problem.
think it is. Well, maybe I don't know. Go
Like
ahead.
opposite.
I have the exact opposite problem in that I'm trying to get this thing done. It's super important. I do have a pretty long window. Like I got up until September to have the whole thing done, so I got some time, right? But I'm trying to get this thing done, and today was getting CAD files to be the same scale. And it was just infuriating because, doing one little thing took like 30 or so seconds, so I just had to sit there and wait. And then it was wrong, so I have to do it again based on what I did 30 seconds ago.
Yeah.
And so it's just like...
So it's tedious work.
Tedious as
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like my work isn't necessarily tedious. So
Yeah.
I can share your sentiment. I just don't know what it was this week.
Punching through
You
Jello.
could be burnt out. I mean, you started a new job recently. Like you dove headfirst in. You have a lot to learn and like get
Well,
up to speed on. You
Yes.
know.
So with the whole new job thing, I'm also still going through school, and so I'm like my next exam is scheduled for Tuesday, and I think I'm ready for it. It's going to be the first exam of the CCNA. CCNA exam, and so like last night I had like 7 hours of sleep, but the 2 nights before that I had 3 to 4 each. So maybe that's a better explanation of like
That's-
why I'm just sitting there.
You're just tired. You're just over this shit.
Fuck it. Yeah,
makes
maybe
sense.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that makes sense.
No, that's my life now, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this week, or at least what we want to talk about today, there seems to be a lot of social media faux pas or fuck ups. Social media fuck ups. And so we're probably gonna. That's what I meant earlier when this is gonna be a socially inclined episode. Not as well. Let's just kind of jump into it.
Dive in.
Let's just.
So the first thing I saw was a couple of days ago with Facebook. So a while ago, I don't remember exactly when, but Facebook admitted that they had found that some of their users, like a very small portion of their users, information was being stored in plain text. They found it through like a routine security review, yada yada yada. They're like, hey, some of our users' passwords are stored in plain text. Sorry.
My bad.
My bad. We fucked up. They came out a couple of days ago and said, "Oh shit, it was way worse. It's like millions and millions of users."
Oopsie.
Passwords.
Do you think-
Instagram passwords, not Facebook passwords, but Facebook, because they're the overarching company. They found out through a routine security review that they were storing millions of Instagram users' passwords in plain text.
Whoopsie.
So do you think that they knew the severity of the breach and tried to downplay it, or did they first initially released, okay, we got hit, or not we got hit, but like, okay, there's plain text passwords, and then later they knew that it was millions of people? Or did they know all of the information and just kind of let it slowly get worse in the news cycle?
I feel like I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, assume they didn't know until later, because like what benefit do they have by revealing a little bit at first and be like, just kidding, more?
Yeah.
It's only going to make them look worse.
They could potentially say, okay, well, we're going to tell them this, but they don't really have to know, nor
Like
would
the
they have
extent
a
of it?
way to know the extent of it.
Yeah.
Unless somebody else was maybe threatening to say, no, there's like 186 million records that you're not
Yeah.
talking
So you
about.
think someone like
Yeah.
forced them to do it?
I don't know, maybe.
Well, so here, all I can say is that they definitely know, because here, you be the third party analyst, and you just tell me, hey, Facebook, all of your stuff just there's all these passwords that are out there on the internet. How'd the review go?
Me?
Yes, you're the third party analyst.
Bad? If I found all these...
Really? How many users were affected? That is the first question that a CEO would ask.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
where I'm going with this.
And do you think the analyst told them... Oh, okay,
Yeah, the analyst would be like, over 3
yes.
million people would be affected.
And the CEO was like, so 3 million, you said 3,000, right? Like, we're good to go.
What's that?
Never. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, what I'm saying is the CEO definitely knew, or whoever took the initial report from the third party.
Yeah.
They knew.
But I think we're assuming that a third party did it because I feel like they said they said it was a routine security review, so that probably was a third party.
They didn't specify internal or external.
Yeah, they didn't.
That's
Yeah, they
fair.
didn't
Okay,
say.
so internal.
So I don't know, but they did say that upwards of 2,000 developers and systems engineers have access to these passwords, but no bad stuff was done with them as far as they know.
And like we were joking about it before the show, but like, how do you just go to each and every engineer developer? Hey, you didn't do anything with those passwords, even though you knew it was on that machine, did you? No,
fuck
you didn't
that.
do anything, did you?
Definitely wasn't me, man.
No. So like, like I don't know if you're going on hearsay or if there's a way to maybe audit like system logs to say which machines they've gotten into. Maybe that would be a way to say verify that only these passwords were seen by so and so and this in
I
person.
think that'd be really hard to track once it's on because we were joking, but it's probably not that far from the truth. They were like reviewing engineers' laptops and we're like, hey, why do you have this list of passwords on your desktop? And they're like, fuck, I don't know. It's just been there forever since I started. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we're talking about like the difference between like maybe an internal or external audit. Like if this was an internal audit, do you think somebody on the inside would be like, maybe I shouldn't, like maybe it's my ass on the line, so I shouldn't tell them it was actually 186 million records.
If that's your job is to do an audit, then
Like-
that's
like
your-
it's-
I mean, like it's not like you were the ones like
But I feel like
insecurely saving that data somewhere.
it would depend. If it was like the head IT person and they're just doing like a routine audit and they're like, fuck, we found all these passwords. They're not gonna. Well, I would say they're not gonna get in trouble for it. But if it's the person who was in charge of encrypting those passwords, and they're like, shit, I forgot to flip that switch. That's different. I mean, I guess either one could really get in trouble, but it would like the severity would probably depend on who's revealing the information, like what your role in it was. If you're just an impartial third party, like in my QA testing, I found all these fucking passwords, as opposed to I should have encrypted those passwords. You know, your ass is on the line a lot more in one versus the other. But I don't know. I have no idea. I don't work there.
Right, and so now, Doxy, you brought this story up specifically for Instagram, right? Like this was an Instagram thing, and we're mentioning Facebook because that's the overarching company.
Yeah. So,
right?
so Facebook is, because Facebook is like the parent company, but Instagram is the actual passwords that were stored. So any Instagram user, you should change your password. I mean, you should do that anyway, but definitely right now.
Right. So I know what I'll be doing after the show, or maybe right away. I don't
Changing
know.
your damn password.
But they also said they sent out notifications to everyone who was affected to update your password. So if you do get a notification, you're probably maybe not affected, but also
Okay, so here's the problem. A lot of times, I know I get notifications, and this is probably really bad. The first thing I do in the morning when I wake up, yes, I roll over, I check my phone, right?
Yes.
And I'm hopefully I'm not the only one who does that here.
No, well, I think we do it differently because I definitely wake up and I check my phone, but I'm only looking for like something fucked up during the night, like I missed something or something like is on fire.
Or like, so you're looking for work email or something, right?
Or like
notifications.
something that's like very important. If it's just like normal notifications, like
Okay.
our Discord or like regular text, and like I don't care about these until at least 11 a.m.
Right. Okay. No, that's fair. But like, so the first thing I do in the morning, I wake up and I roll over and I look at my phone. But the thing is, I do it so early in my cognitive, that I'm not even thinking about what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the type of notification and I'm like, okay, it's an email. I'll check it later, and I never do. So that's like on Instagram, somebody posted this or that. I swipe it and I'm like, oh wow, LinkedIn gave me a notification. Don't fucking need that. So I'm swiping away all these notifications without actually reading them. I take a look at like maybe CertBot notifications, like this certification isn't due yet or whatever. So like,
but I feel like if it's a security type email or notification, it should be different than their standard notification. And I don't know how Instagram does it. Like if it just sends you a DM or if it's in your settings or whatever. But I feel like they should make it more apparent that it's something that you should really pay attention to, as opposed to just someone liking your post or following you or something. But I don't know how they send out security notifications.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But I should check today.
Well,
Yeah.
But I mean, also speaking of Facebook, you were saying something about S3 buckets.
Oh, no. So last week, I know we got into this really big discussion about AI. So the whole conversation about the Facebook thing kind of just went to the wayside. And I figured I'd table it for today, not thinking that like there'd be more social media type news. So it kind of fits in perfectly, actually.
You're welcome.
So there's this other article, hundreds of millions of Facebook user records were exposed on an Amazon cloud server. So now we are talking about like an S3 bucket or something that wasn't secure because of, yes.
Oh, someone else's computer.
Turns out when you put your private details on someone else's computer, sometimes they fuck it up.
Well,
So, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So I don't know if you know this, but now I'm a DevOps engineer, and Doxy's been a DevOps engineer for longer than I've been a DevOps engineer. I don't know if you know this yet, Doxy, and I've been meaning to research this, and maybe somebody in the audience knows this. There are certain. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. AWS, which stands for Oz.
That's not what it stands for.
Amazon Web Services. Jesus Christ. Yes, I know. No, so I believe, now this is the cloud computing platform on Amazon. Of course, you do have Azure. Now Google Cloud Platform is a thing now, GCP. And then you have Oracle, they're starting to push out their own cloud services. But Amazon specifically, to my knowledge, has more than like 200 different types of services that you can use out in the cloud. Virtual private servers, storage, encryption, machine learning capabilities. All these things, like a ton of shit. And so I believe, and again, this is the part that I need to research, but I believe Amazon tells people throughout their website who are browsing the website for AWS that like, hey, there are certain things that we can take responsibility of as far as like securing. But there are things that you as the developer or you as the person who's managing this virtual private cloud, you're responsible for this security. You're responsible for this security group and what it has access to and this and that. So cloud services, they don't say, okay, because it's on our cloud, we will secure it for you.
Right, because that's way too much responsibility for a company to take, and no one's going to take that liability.
Yeah,
right. So,
but I guarantee you that's what the CEOs hear when they go to the conferences and hear cloud.
Oh yeah,
cloud.
like security.
Oh,
don't worry about it.
Security. Oh, they said the word security. It's fine.
It's fine. Just throw it up there.
Just put it on up there.
right. So when it comes to this story with Facebook, would we then say it's not Amazon's fault that all these user records were stored out there in like maybe a public-facing S3 bucket or storage, service? It would be the fault and responsibility of the person uploading all this data or whoever's managing that space. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because we can't. I mean, Amazon is just providing a tool, and I mean, and any tool is only as secure as you make it. Like if you don't put in the extra effort to secure it, then you're just like, fuck it, yeah, man, it's a bucket. I can access it. I don't care who else can access it. I'm good to go. My job's done.
Yeah, you can have the best deadbolt on your house that is made by man, but if you don't lock the damn door when you leave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a fucking great analogy.
I do like it.
Yeah, because I don't think people think about it enough. And Chin was talking about the responsibilities of red team versus blue team and how it's like an always uphill battle for blue team because we don't know to secure stuff until it's been broken into. I mean, I guess we should have security minded first and always secure stuff beforehand.
Yeah.
But you don't think about it until it happens, until you get breached or until you find out that one portion of it is insecure and whatnot. And it's hard to stay on top of everything because literally everything is insecure.
So the example that I was using is like, okay, so the first thing that comes with like, let's say, let's talk about the internet, right? The first thing that comes is interconnectivity. I connect this machine to that machine. Right? Then later we realize, oh, we're sending data plain text. Okay, so instead of using Telnet, let's use Secure Shell SSH, right? Okay, so that's kind of the example here where it's like, okay, we now have this tool, we now have this service, which is called cloud or whatever. Now security comes afterwards. Now that we have this tool, how do we protect it? Like it's not built in tandem, it's not built in parallel. It's like you have this service, this tool, and then you tack on security after it. I mean, like that's how it's been in the past.
Yeah, like, you're saying they first of all they put up the cloud. Like here are computers for you to use on the internet.
Right, exactly.
But they didn't really give a thought at all to securing it. Is that kind of where you're going with that?
Yeah, I mean, but it's and I mean I'm using the past as an example because it doesn't seem like we're learning from our lessons, or maybe it's a completely different thing to think about. I don't know.
I mean, it is because then like it falls on whose responsibility is it, and you would say the person creating the buckets and doing these things like obviously their responsibility, but they might not have that time built into their contract or agreement or whatever to actually do the security portion of it or whatnot. They're just kind of like, get this done. You have a week, and then then you're out or whatever, or you're out if you don't get it done in a week. And they're like, fuck security. I got to get this shit up and I got to get it running. And then there's like no time to say, hey, we should go back and like review it. And their CEO or whoever is like, we don't have time for that. We got to move on to the next thing.
It doesn't matter. They said secure at the conference.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And so then it's like, and then something happens. Like, why didn't we ever secure this or whatever? Like, we didn't have time.
Well, not even like I mean, we could talk about cloud specifically, but not even just cloud. But like sometimes maybe you have an example where you have a DevOps engineer who's responsible for like let's say the infrastructure build, but like let's say they're building this solution for a third-party developer to then import their code. You as the DevOps engineer, it's not necessarily your responsibility to check the security or that the code was securely written, or is it your responsibility?
And again, that's part of like the contractual agreement.
Yeah,
because it's like the developer or the company contracting you is like, hey, we just need you to facilitate us getting this code to this place, and you're like, I can do that easy. And then you give it to them, they're fine until something happens. They're like, why didn't you secure this? Like, you didn't ask me to.
That's not my scope of work.
That's not my scope of work. You should have a security officer or whatever that does that kind of stuff and reviews these things. But more often than not, they don't because it's not fiscally responsible. Like they just don't care. It's not built into the budget ever.
Right. And then there's another layer on this where like, you have a third-party developer that isn't even really talking to the tech team, like the internal tech team, where they're kind of maybe talking to the marketing department because it's a website, or they're talking to like. The marketing department is the one that reaches out to, like, let's say this third-party web developer. Can you build us this site, right? And the developer's like, yeah, sure. And so while the marketing department's not really like, they're not knowledgeable in security or any of these things that are needed, they're like, oh yeah, they could do that. Boom. Like, here, let's sign the contract. This third-party developer is now going to be developing the website. They didn't talk about anything about how it's going to be implemented. they'll just after the contract is signed, they then push it down to like let's say the IT department. Oh, okay, so you're going to be working with Bob now, and Bob says that he's going to build this website on a stack that now you are responsible for to build.
Yeah, that's it goes on breakdown in communication and whatnot because the marketing person doesn't know to ask these questions. No one told them to ask, and they're just kind of like moving along. This person gets a piece, they get it like it looks good to me, pass it down, and if somewhere someone is like they probably secured it, it's probably okay, and everyone passed the buck, and then eventually we're fucked. Breaches everywhere.
Yeah. They asked me to do a thing. I'm going to do the thing.
I'm gonna do the thing they asked me to do.
And see, this goes back to I was talking about this a little bit in one of the channels, and I've talked about it before on the show. It's what are you building a product to do? I mean, it's the same. I've used the screwdriver analogy at least 3 times. But are you building a screwdriver to drive a screw, or are you building a screwdriver to meet a price point?
Yeah. And
if you're building it to be less than 99 cents to produce, then you don't really give a shit how it drives screws.
Doesn't give a fuck.
Or how soon it breaks or crumbles, or if it's made of old melted down Hot Wheels.
You just want it to look like a screwdriver.
There you go.
Maybe.
Will people buy this for $2 and I can produce it for $1?
I don't want to say always, but 90% of the time it's a price point.
Yeah.
So like, we don't care how you get it working. You have a week and you have this much money.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Exactly. Yeah. They're not going at it with the mindset of I want you to do this thing securely. I want you to do this thing correctly. They're like, no,
or, yes, I want you to build this thing with longevity in mind.
Right.
Not like
they're not like that. Yeah. They're just like, I want you to get this out the door so that we can beat these other guys and sell more things.
And security is expensive.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, like it's way more expensive to implement security in the beginning and then deal with it than it is to just eat these costs because we talk about it all the time. But if they get breached, like this password thing is out now.
Yep.
Who cares?
No
Literally no one.
No.
They might get fined a couple $1,000, a couple $1 million. That's less than their net revenue for a day. Less than a day. Half
and
a
it's
day.
less than that would cost for them to patch the breach.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, just like in what was that, Fight Club? What they were talking about insurance.
I gotta watch that movie again. I've seen it, surprisingly.
They were talking about the guy that goes out and reviews like insurance things to decide whether or not a car manufacturer is going to do a recall.
Yeah.
And if the total cost of people suing for wrongful death is lower than the cost of fixing the problem, then they don't fix the problem.
Which I absolutely believe. I mean, I feel like that's a real thing.
Oh no, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's the thing is like someone in the channel mentioned GDPR, which I feel like is one of the only things that actually makes companies accountable for user records and stuff like that because it has a very heavy fine attached to it. But most things, well, I mean, we'll see because I don't think anyone's been hit with GDPR stuff yet that I'm aware of.
I think there have been, but I'll have to check that. I can't name of anybody off the top of my head, but I think there have been companies that have been kind of.
I forget what it is.
Fined.
It's like 5% of your operating costs per incident.
Even Google's been one of them. I can't remember.
Yeah, up to 4% of annual worldwide turnover, or $24 million, whichever is greater.
Fuck yeah,
right?
And that's a significant amount of money. So things like that will go a long way to curbing these things, but they're not implemented everywhere, especially if you don't have international users and whatnot, because America doesn't give a shit. So it's a step in the right direction, but it's still tough. And I don't think we're doing enough. We need to find this shit out of everyone.
So I have a point on that in a second, but really quick, with this whole cloud thing. So Satchel, you made it a point like, you put you put your data in somebody else's infrastructure, it's gonna happen. So when it comes to this, are you okay with saying like it's really not the tool maker's responsibility? It's the person who is using the tool to use it properly.
Who is the tool maker in your example?
Okay, so the tool maker is Amazon. The tool maker is Amazon. Is it the responsibility of the person using the tool to use it properly?
No, it's not. Sorry. It is the responsibility of the end user.
Yes.
Right? In this case, Facebook.
Right.
Yeah. No, that is the responsibility. But I think that people that are making these decisions to put their stuff in the cloud need to be cognizant of the fact that, hey, I'm using someone else's computer. So either I need to put more money into security, or I need to, make sure that the data that's going there isn't personally identifiable information or isn't passwords or whatever. I mean, you want to use it to stream a sports game that only happens once a year or something like that.
Sports games.
Thank you. Sports games. Yes. If you need to do something, or you have a end of the year sale or something like that, and you have massive traffic to your website at that time, then that makes sense. Use that for elasticity in your in what you're able to provide. But if you're just looking at it as a way like, oh, yippee, I don't have to pay anybody in a data center now because they'll just handle it. Well,
yeah.
Do you think people?
Not
So
really.
people have been using data centers for a long time. Do you think people are more security conscious when they're in a data center because they see it as their stuff versus when it's in the cloud where it's like out of sight, out of mind? You're just kind of like, it's in the cloud. It's secure at some point somewhere.
the person responsible for it is inside the building that way, and you know that they
with
are.
data centers.
Yeah, with data centers, right? Not necessarily inside the building proper, not physically.
But they're going to be physically with it at some point.
Well, what I'm saying is they're in the company.
Yes.
You're not just contracting the whole mess out and throwing it in someone else's lap and saying you deal with it.
Yeah.
Because even though, you do kind of sort of absolve yourself of responsibility. I think that's a big part of what it's for too.
The cloud.
Oh yeah. Because then if someone screws up, you can say, it was those guys that did
Those
the thing. We had an
motherfuckers."
agreement with them and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, those sons of bitches.
Like I totally get what you're saying there, and I for the most part agree. But when it comes to like for instance AWS implementations, as far as what their quote unquote responsibility is, they give you a tutorial about how to implement the tool and they say be off with you, have fun. Like I've never gotten at least me, I've never gotten the impression that AWS is like, here, we got you covered, and we'll take care of everything once you put it on our infrastructure. I've never gotten that feeling.
But you also probably haven't gotten a big talking to about, hey, now listen, this is not secure, so you're gonna need to do this, that, and the other thing. Or is that what you were saying? You did get that?
No. I'm saying like, well, it's a mixed bag because it's like you kind of get that in the tutorial.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say, okay, look, you need to have an IAM role for this particular thing to work, and like you need this security group for this thing to function. But it's like they tell you the how, but they don't tell you the why.
But that's not their responsibility.
Right, and so that's what I'm saying though. I've never gotten the impression that AWS is going to say, I've got your back. Don't worry about your data. It's in good hands. Like I've never gotten that impression.
But if you wanted to believe that in the first, like better, right? You know that.
I know
that's
you're
not
talking to
the
the CEOs and the.
That's what I'm
okay.
saying. The people that actually make the decision, that sign the contract.
Yeah.
Those people, they don't know.
Okay, then is it your job as the DevOps engineer to then speak to higher up saying, hey man, we can do this, but this is what the implications are.
Yeah, but then that opens a whole new thing because it's again cost. So even if you were like, hey, this is not good at all, like this is gonna bite us in the ass. So like, we'll deal with that later. Just do it. Just get
They
it
say
working
that,
now.
or because maybe you're the person who says, no, you really shouldn't do that. They're like, fuck you, you're fired. Let's get the DevOps engineer that's
Or
a
they
yes
won't.
man.
They won't fire you. Well, eventually, yeah, but they won't. They won't fire you yet. They'll wait for it to fuck up and be like, hey man, why didn't we take care of this before? And then you're like,
well, now we got
you're
to
and I mean, obviously, we talk about paper trails a lot and whatnot, so you cover your own ass. But it's back to AWS. It's not their responsibility, and they would be open to so much liability if they were like, hey, do these things to secure your infrastructure and whatnot.
That's a good point.
Because then they'd be like, hey, you told us to do this and we did this, but we still got hacked. Like that's your fault. And AWS is like, shit. So now they're just like, hey, we only secured this much. Everything else is your responsibility. And then they're like, it doesn't matter what happens outside of this.
I mean, it's kind of like not standard. Well, it's kind of like a disclaimer, right? Like when you're using a product, you're like, okay, well, shit could happen. Hot coffee.
Right.
Hot coffee. Yeah, it's like
Which was a real thing.
No, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see those pictures of Yeah, sorry, we'll talk about that later.
It's grisly.
It's gross. It's pretty bad.
She had a right to sue, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I want to get to the point that Doxy made about GDPR in just a second. One announcement, it's actually a pretty important announcement. One announcement that I did forget at the beginning of the show, so I do apologize, is that on May 17th, we will be having a special guest who comes to us from the i3 hackerspace in Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah.
So this person reached out to SynShop proper first, and they're talking about like what we do here at the shop. They'll be in town at this time. And this person's actually a pretty, I'll say big wig out in that hackerspace.
Okay.
Much like you and I are board members of this, so it was kind of like one of those things. And so this person will be here on May 17th, and they'll be part of the show, and we'll hang out and talk about maker stuff. So join us for that particular show because, again, i3 from Detroit, Michigan will be hanging out with us. We'll be talking about maker stuff, making things. And
that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I'm
excited for that one. I'm really looking forward to that episode. It's very rare and very kind of sparse when we have special guests of any nature, really. Yeah. So this is something to look forward to. So
I want to start doing that. I want to start looking up maker spaces in other cities and visiting.
I want to visit and go.
Yeah.
But then I know I'm never going to go.
Well, I tried to go to two in Hawaii, and they were not open at the time. One of them was not open at all anymore. The I forgot what it was. And then actually I forgot what both of them were called, but one of them was closed for the evening. So oh no, one of them was called High Capacity. That was a cool one because I joined their IRC. Yeah, High Capacity. But they joined. I joined their IRC and we chatted for a little bit, but I never got a chance to actually meet with them while I was out there. So again, sorry for that late announcement, but that is another announcement to tack onto the one that we had earlier today.
Yeah.
All right. So now to talk to, or do you have a thing?
Well, go ahead. Ask me a thing.
Okay. So to speak with the whole about the whole GDPR thing, I like the sentiment of the law, but the implementation of it, I do not have faith in it almost whatsoever. Because you think about like a CFAA, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. You talk about all these things from the 1980s, 90s, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Like things that are supposed to protect you from telemarketers, things that are supposed to protect you from fraud and abuse and protect you from all these things. Guess what? It's not solving the internet problem. Can we say CAN Spam Act? You see, so again, I like these sentiments of the GDPR. I just don't have faith in it as far as a law. So the problem is the policy is not going to keep up with the technology, I don't think.
How so?
Okay, so like you have Facebook, which is now an international company.
Yeah.
You're going to fine it to death?
Yes.
Okay.
You could.
Yeah. I think. I mean, it's a very. It's not simple at all. Like I think it's very like well worded, and very well constructed as far as like what the actual penalties are for stuff. I don't know the exact wording of it, but I think essentially fine them into the ground if they fuck up. If you fuck up enough times, you get fined a shit ton.
Okay, and you don't think that they're going to be able to somehow tie up these fines in some sort of litigation or some way around it?
But if it's the government, there's going to be a limit to how much they can kick that can down the road.
And also again, it's the government, so it's not like they're battling like people in small claims court. They're like,
okay, but it's not the
It's not like
government
they're
of the
gonna run out of
United
money.
States. It's the government of the EU.
right.
Okay,
Okay.
and we're talking about American companies. Do you think they'll bow down?
Do I think the company will bow down or the EU government?
The company.
I don't think they have a choice.
Yeah,
They can't say nah. Like they have no choice.
We're just going to shut ourselves off to all those users.
They could do that.
They could do that.
which I
and
know
you
some
do have
companies have
examples
done.
of like Russia and China, as far as I know, that they're building their own like bubble internet.
Oh, yeah.
So the internet might not be a global thing anymore.
Which is actually gonna be really fucking weird to think about. I mean, it already is weird to think about when we think about like how expansive it used to be with forums and whatnot. How everything is pretty concentrated on like 3 sites. You have Reddit, you have Facebook, and you have whatever the other third site is. I don't know. But not like before. These would be like a forum for every separate.
Oh,
thing
YouTube.
that
We'll
you
call it
want.
YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, YouTube. Yeah.
Actually, I think YouTube accounts for 60% of the internet.
I believe
Like
it.
traffic
I
wise. I mean.
absolutely believe that because they upload like 100
It's
million
fucking
videos
something
a day.
ridiculous like that. It's more than 50%. Yeah, it's fucking
I
crazy.
pulled that number out of my ass, but I feel like that's accurate.
No,
I
it's
feel like
something.
close.
It's something above 50%. I just don't know what the exact percentage is. But yeah, like the actual traffic that's passing through ISPs.
Yeah.
Most of it's YouTube.
No shit.
Yeah.
I mean, and China's already sort of sectioned off in their own internet bubble, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there is precedent. I mean, not that I want it to happen because that's stupid, but I mean, there is precedent for it. But I don't.
Well, okay, so there's precedent for it, but it's because of these laws that maybe these companies or these countries are motivated to make these bubble internets. So
So they can keep doing shitty things. They want to segregate their users from the rest of the world. Like, don't worry about how good these other places have it. Just worry about us. There's no GDPR here. We do whatever we want, right? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I guess. Again, my bottom line here is that, again, the sentiment's cool of the law. I just don't think it's going to be easily implemented or followed.
Well,
Okay.
so
And we
here's
have
the thing.
examples.
You're coming at this, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you're coming at this from a more American mindset, where if I'm Facebook, I can buy a couple senators for surprisingly cheap, and have them vote whichever way I want to keep those fines so low that they're comical. Oh, I got fined $50,000. Oh, damn it!
Right,
You know?
yeah.
Oh, ruined my day.
CEO pays that on his way.
But in the UK, I don't think it works the same way. In the EU, I don't think it works the same way. They actually seem to make.
So there's that part of it, but then there's also like, okay, let's take caller ID spoofing as an example, or let's take spam as an example. There's just so much of it. Who do you find? Who do you find when that type of traffic is, proxied off? And I know that's a different example, but I mean, like, what I'm saying is there's policies in place. Can spam, all these things. Has spam stopped? No,
Right.
it was technology that then solved the problem where you have, let's say, spam assassin. you now have, and every now and then an email comes in that's like, let's enlarge your penis, Jen. But I'm
That's
saying,
weird. I don't get those.
my point though is, so in the end though, it was not policy that solved the problem. It was technology, like a technology rock paper scissors kind of thing.
But I mean, we can definitely make technology better as far as like securing users and whatnot and facilitating that. But I think this is an important first, or like rather third, fourth, fifth step or something in the march towards fairness for users. Because I mean, the users really have no protections against companies now, and I think if we didn't have something like this to start off, or like in the ever evolving thing, like we would never get any progress. You know, it just sort of the companies would be like, "You're just fucked. Like, what are you gonna do? Go to another Facebook? MySpace is dead, kind of. But like what do they do? So we need something like this to start it off, and then we evolve from here.
Right.
Like maybe they'll get around this and they'll figure out a way to like stifle them or whatever. But GDPR 2.0 be a little bit better.
Okay, so let's take another example, and this is actually a recent news
Okay.
item. I believe this week the law in the UK goes into effect where like it is now illegal to watch or download porn in the UK.
What?
What?
Yeah.
They actually passed that? No, they were talking about it.
No, they passed it, and it's supposed to be implemented this week. That's according to the Rogue Rocket, which is a company of Philip DeFranco. That's his news organization. So if you want to check out the Rogue Rocket, that's
Why would I search for EU porn? Why would I do that? Why would I do that?
No, so the point is, so yeah, everybody kind of jokes about this, but yeah, like as far as I know, and I believe again, this is according to the Rogue Rocket. Which I just started following.
Not the Red Rocket.
No,
That's
not
a
the
whole
Red
different
Rocket, not
site.
the Red,
Just-
Rogue.
just
That's another site we don't want to go
Rogue
to.
Nope.
Rocket, okay?
not Googling that.
No. So yes, not the EU porn. No.
Right?
So again, okay, the UK officially through policy has banned the downloading or viewing of porn on UK ISPs.
Wait. So,
Not a license.
Without a license.
Wait,
that changes things.
What do you mean without? Wait, hold on. Sorry, we can't without a license.
As far as I know, from what is being told to us, the person is coming up to the community mic, so let's get some clarification on this. Community mic.
Yeah, so in order to access porn in the UK, you have to have a license that says you're over the whatever age was determined. And so you can buy these at bookstores and other places, these lines. But basically what it is know your customer, that they know who you are and what you're accessing.
So now they know everyone who's watching porn.
Well, not only that. Now I'm curious. If you have a license to watch porn, do you have a license to watch certain types of porn?
Yeah, I guess,
Like
what's
threesome,
what's
over
legal in
age
the
18,
UK, right?
cuck, what?
What's legal in the UK, so
Interesting.
See, so that's kind of interesting, but
Is it like a meter thing where you get to watch porn for 30 days until it runs out? Then you gotta top off your card.
it's just basically, it's a well-known provider is Age ID, which is owned by MindGeek, privately held Canadian. Okay, something. Hold on, sorry, blah blah blah.
wait, now what about?
I had it a second ago. Go on.
Okay, so what about instead of buying this license at some bookstore, why don't you just VPN?
But see, you're thinking about it.
Oh,
from
here it
a-
is. So
No,
you
I know
just
I'm
ha-
thinking about it from a technical point of view, but I mean,
You have to verify your age. You don't necessarily have to buy that thing, but you have to verify your age by using a phone number, credit card, passport, or driving license.
Yep.
So
just to watch porn.
now they're gonna get
It's
better
age
analytics on who's
verification
watching
is what it
porn.
is.
you're not wrong. Yeah.
They're gonna know like, this dude is
yeah.
definitely watching.
Yeah,
Well,
wait until this database gets hacked.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God!
But-
Yes.
But
See?
so that goes back to a thing I bring up a lot. Like, you think there's not already a database of that?
Of like who watches or like who's
Of
watching porn.
course.
Oh,
Like, if you're important enough to
I'm
make it
always
that,
proxying my porn watching. All right,
Well,
I'm just saying it's not
Yeah.
coming from my home.
but it's at some point it's going to pass through servers that are tapped into.
it's gonna
like
pass through
that's-
someone else's computer.
Perhaps.
Well, no, I mean I'm talking about the lines. No, not perhaps. Like, definitely in the meet me rooms,
Wait.
they have taps off of the main trunks.
Yeah.
You know about that.
Yes.
So
I mean, it's gonna happen sooner rather than later, probably.
So my point though is it's a policy problem versus a technology problem.
But that's another thing I say. This is like my
I know
clip show
it's going to
today.
eventually become political, right?
Any technological problem will eventually become a political problem.
And any political problem eventually gets overcome by a technology solution.
I don't agree with that. I don't
agree.
have any concrete examples to back it up yet, and I don't want to take that long to think.
I mean,
but
okay, but like you already have a policy right now that there's like ever since the last week tonight, about 3 weeks ago, did a report on the whole robocalls. So now there's a policy that's talking about how to stop robocalls. Well, guess what? There's already people on Twitter who are technically minded who are already talking about how it will be defeated.
How will it be defeated? Give me a snippet.
God, now I gotta
Okay,
go
never
search the tweet.
mind. I thought you had it off the top of your head.
No, I'm saying like this is what I'm.
But that's a very technological problem anyway. Like I don't think all political
yeah, but
problems
it's
are
not
technical
being
problems.
solved by policy.
But that's because it's technical problems are solved by technical solutions. I agree with that. Like it needs a technical solution if it's a technical problem. But I don't think just because it's political policy, it's going to be solved by technology in the future.
Yeah.
That doesn't.
No, what I'm saying, yeah, okay. What I'm saying is, it's a big ass game of rock paper scissors.
Ass game?
No,
No. So I guess where I'm coming from with this is that if the policy actually had teeth and someone went to jail, then you're having a conversation. Then you would actually be able to stop a thing with that. You'd be able to stop robocalls. If a couple robocall send data, telemarketing managers started going to fucking jail.
Because now I think now they get fined like 15% per call for
And then,
something bullshit like that.
Oh.
Yeah, they're like, shit, 20,000. Dang it.
let's see what Community Mike has to say about this again.
Well, I don't think. Well, like you said, the technology solved the problem of spam. Regulation didn't do it. There actually was no regulation for spam that was ever applied legally to anyone. No one, there's a couple of large spammers, but they were taken out in 2003, 2004.
Mm-hmm.
They were put down. But you're still getting spam. No one's getting arrested.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
And I agree with the thing about the teeth. Like, same thing, whether it's monetary teeth or like actual people prison time and whatnot. If you don't have some teeth behind it, if you don't have some actual like, you will be punished for it. Like punish. Like it'll be detrimental to you. They'll be like, okay, whatever. I'll eat the fine and move on. And
Exactly.
Do it again.
The fines are just a cost of doing business.
Well,
Yeah.
When the fine is equal to like 0.0003% of your annual growth, it'd be like if you made $100,000 and somebody said, "Oh, you littered, and so it's going to be an 80-cent fine."
Oh,
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah.
It's like
80
your
cents.
annual net is $100,000, and they're saying, "Oh, well, I can stop you by telling you have to pay 80 cents."
Yeah.
Right. It's not even going to make you flinch. You're
Right,
going to do it all day
exactly.
long, and that's what it is, and that's what kind of level of fines we're looking at here. Anybody that's putting any teeth in this,
Yeah.
it's fractions of the gross net that they have. It's
In the
not
U.S., you're
impacting
saying.
UK as well too.
Well, the
now-
GDPR, though, that's got teeth.
The GDPR, do you believe that has teeth?
It could have teeth, but the problem is you have to have an organizing body that can actually inflict that, and they really don't have the total
Yeah.
across the EU. No,
And that's
at this point, no. It has the potential of having it.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 years down the road, but right now it doesn't. No.
And that's what I wasn't sure about. Like, if anyone had been hit by GDPR, and if so, had they actually paid the fines, or was it more like a scare tactic? Like, if you do this again, then
So, an unnamed German social media platform was among the first to be fined under GDPR following a breach that compromised the personal information of 330,000 users, including passwords and email address. That fine for that was 20,000 euros.
total.
Yeah, which was low compared to what the regulation stipulated. Oh, because the organization made demonstrable efforts to proactively notify the breach to the data protection authorities. So they actually did what they were supposed to do. They cooperated, so they cut them some slack on that one.
And again, this isn't the be all end all yet, but it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
And as we go further in, and as more stuff starts to happen, like more people get face fines and whatever, then they'll be like, okay, they're serious. Like we'll adhere to it more, or that's the hope anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe not GDPR 1.0, but definitely 2.0, 2.5.
I think what we're going to see is that corporations are going to be divesting of data, personal data. They're basically it becomes a liability to be able to warehouse data because it's a point of attack. It's a point of leverage. So you only need the data that you can make decisions on and what you need to
Right.
make actions with. And so you probably are not, if somebody hasn't made a transaction with you within X amount of months, their data is probably just going to get purged out.
So what you're saying is the investment in data is now becoming the detriment.
Right. It's actually a threat to the company. It's actually, they have to take care of it. They have to spend money. They have to go to the effort and they're a threat. Like if something happens, we're going to have these huge fines.
Yeah.
So why have the data?
Like
If we're not making decisions on this, if
yeah.
it's not benefiting us, why are we housing this?
Right. How many companies are now saying we do not hold your credit card data? Like,
Oh yeah.
they just don't hold it anymore because
Right.
it is a liability to
Right.
do so.
Right.
Well, so then what do you do if you're a company like Google where your business is your customers' data
So
or your product is your customers' data?
it's
Or you're both. Is your
so
customer's
it's your metadata that's more important to them. Figuring out where you're going to go, what you're going to spend money on, what you're interested in. That metadata that has nothing to do with you personally. It has to do with like what you do. And it's a metadata like, at 5 o'clock on a Friday that this intersection has X amount of traffic in it and that kind of stuff. That metadata is what's far more important than just, your personal data has dropped in value from like 5 years ago to almost, 10 cents on the dollar. But the data about what you do, who you interact with, or where you interact is far more important.
And they
those
don't,
just, right.
Yeah, and they don't actually need a first and last name for any of that.
They don't need any of it. And,
Yeah,
and to
makes
actually
sense.
link it to somebody is bad. It's just, you can verify that the data that you're collecting is valid, that this thing's happening and this is something people are interested in. You can sell that data. You can say this many people in the United States every week does this thing.
Yeah.
And we know how to target them. And you don't have to know who they are, but we know how to target them.
Right.
And so moving data, personal data out of systems, that's going to be the next big thing.
Interesting.
Which I mean, it's good for us.
Yeah, that's actually a benefit. But again, that's not, well, maybe in this example, I can say because of policy, they no longer want to hold.
Hey,
Well,
data.
I got one.
in the United States, it's like know your customer rules for banks, right?
Yeah.
And there's some people out there working on this. Is where like I'm a company that basically certifies people to who they are, and so this this internet organization and this person, they don't actually need to know who they are to be able to have a business transaction. All they are is a certified person through this third-party organization. So they never actually collect Amazon would never collect any personal data on you to make a transaction because they would go through a third-party organization. There's still a known trackable trace for legal reasons, but for storing that data, having that data on hand, no one gets that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So we're going to see this happen.
I mean,
Thanks.
Yeah.
No, that's very
it's
interesting.
obviously part of an ongoing conversation, but I mean, things are happening.
Yeah.
Nothing groundbreaking yet, but things are happening. We're moving, hopefully, in the right direction. Maybe not. Maybe this is a total fuck and we'll have to start over again. But we're trying. Not we, but someone's trying.
We'll see.
Not us.
Not us. Not
We ain't doing nothing.
Not me.
We ain't doing
personally.
shit. All we're doing is commenting on this bitch.
We're sitting on the couch eating Cheetos because
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever
All
the
right, guys,
equivalent
final
of
thoughts
Cheetos
on this
is.
before we move over to the lightning round.
Like I said, GDPR 2.0 or any policy 1.0 isn't the answer, but it's a step in the right direction, and I'm sure we'll see progress as time goes on. That's all.
Okay, Satchel?
Policies ought to have teeth. I do think that eventually we will see that happen,
Yeah.
but it's going to take enough people being pissed off enough to make it happen.
Agreed.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay,
Agreed.
now, what I'm about to say is probably going to open up a whole can of worms of
flip this
discussion,
table.
which is why I'm saving it towards the end. You can't debate me.
Oh, you watch me.
No. Seriously, all I want to say is more policy will create more criminals. All right, so
That's
what the
bullshit. What kind of fucking...
I knew it. We'll talk about this after the show. All right, so
was
let's go on.
bullshit.
I don't like Chin having the
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
No. Actually, the funny thing is, I've been actively practicing the point of like breaking people, like where you remember like where I can make you speechless sometimes, or you're just like I've been actively practicing that. So
You have a weird life, dude.
Yeah, right?
social engineering, you should join the channel. What? Hey, it made you guys burst out and that kind of shit. Anyway, lightning round. Here we go. That just means I know you guys pretty well. All right. For those of you who do not know what the lightning round is, we are going to go to, for now, because I don't have another resource, thehackernews.com. We're going to give our tweets length of an opinion, which, never actually happens, but whatever. And we will go around the table. Who's going first?
Me.
All right. Doxy calls it. All right.
Called it.
First one. Hacker breaks into French government's new secure messaging app.
Everything is secure until it's not.
Oh, that's a good one. Nice and concise.
Insert French gibberish here. Like, Sacre bleu! Whatever.
Oh my goodness.
Someone says
Yeah.
No, of course they don't.
No one says that.
Of course they don't. That's why it's that's why it's gibberish. No, of course no one says.
Is that an actual? Whatever. We'll talk about it later.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe that's.
I've never met a single person from the South that said consarn it.
Is that a thing?
That's-
people say?
Consarn it.
I thought it was gosh darn it.
Well, there's that too.
Oh my God.
What's
All
that?
right. All right. All right. Now the next.
Well,
the
that's
next-
true. That's true.
The next article is something that we spent a lot of our main show on, so we're going to go ahead and skip that. That's about the Facebook and Instagram stuff. Facebook collected. Okay, this is the third one. I think we
did not talk about
No, we
this.
didn't talk about this. Okay, Facebook collected contacts from. Oh yeah, this is the one that I wanted to talk about. God damn
You're
it.
fucked up.
Facebook collected contacts of 1.5 million email accounts without users' permission.
This is a whole damn story in and of itself.
Yeah, it is.
Like.
Well, so much for your
all
opinion.
three.
No, go.
But like all three stories that we've had today was been Facebook fucked up, Facebook fucked up. Oh, and BT Dubs, Facebook fucked up.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
why do people still have a Facebook?
so
account?
I know a little bit about the
Because
story.
what's the alternative?
Not
Go
having it.
outside.
People don't want to go outside. They
Ah,
want
that's
they
fair.
want
And that's the people's fault. Okay, no. It is at this point it's the people's fault.
they want ease of use. They're like, man,
People's fault.
they were like, I would really love to talk to my mom right now.
People's fault.
But
But I don't want to sit on the phone for 3 hours.
exactly, and I don't.
Yeah,
and,
all right.
And I don't
People's
want.
fault.
I don't want
People's
to talk to her next week. I want to talk to her right now.
No, so here's the interesting part though. I know a little bit about the story because I actually read something this week. So these 1.5 million email accounts were people who are not Facebook users, but friends
course.
of Facebook users.
Of
Even
course.
worse.
Yeah, it is.
course.
It's fucking crazy. This is the story that I was looking for. God damn it. Well, so there's my opinion.
We should talk about that next week.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
That's
That's fucked up. Yeah, that's very fucked up. All right, so next one. Drupal releases core CMS updates to patch several vulnerabilities.
I miss working on Drupal.
Okay, cool. It's like WordPress rehashed, kind of, no?
It's whatever. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Meh.
All right, next one. Researcher hijacks a Microsoft service using loophole in Azure Cloud Platform.
It's just a lot of words. It's
More
a word
cloud.
soup.
Ha ha ha. Oh yeah.
More cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a researcher, so I'm sure it's just like a routine security review, something. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What else?
All right, that brings us down to this one. Over 100,000 Just
100 million?
Dial users. Huh? Oh, yeah, sorry, 100 million. I don't know why I said 1,000. Over 100 million Just Dial users, personal data found exposed on the internet.
I don't know what Just Dial is, but
Just Dial is apparently India's largest local search service.
oh,
So it's like a people.com or .org.
like a Google.
Like OSINT, basically. It's OSINT
Kinda.
gold mine.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes. All right, next one. Google makes it tough for rogue app developers to get back on Android Play Store.
I don't believe that. That sounds like a bunch of bullshit. Play Store is super easy to get into. Maybe.
I would imagine they're probably tightening it up a little bit. I mean,
Because it's so easy for people to get in.
Why
now,
is this
yeah.
person making a flashlight app that needs your contact information and your? That's weird.
Nice.
Anyway, all right, guys. So that is the last article that does bring us to the end of the lightning round, which unfortunately does bring us to the end of the show. We have run out of time, but never out of shit to say. So join us again next week, same time. We'll be right here waiting for you. Like literally, we'll sit here
Oh, boy.
and wait for you
I won't.
until 7:30 next week. We're gonna
Okay.
sit here for 7 days.
I got shit to do.
Yeah.
I'll work from here. I'll work from here and
I'll
make sure that
roll
I'm
in a-
here for when you're here.
I'll roll in maybe 6 o'clock tops.
All right, sure. Well, I'll be here. Nothing's going to change. We're even going to keep the camera here. And for the next 7 days, you'll just see me live streaming like this.
None of that's true.
No, not at all. All right, so join us again next week where we will reset up this whole stage. And then we'll talk more of stuff. All right, so remember the address here is 1075 American Pacific Drive, Suite C in Henderson, Nevada. So you can come down and hang out with us. This is the Sin Shop. Go to sinshop.org for information on the shop. Go to meetup.com/sinshop for information on our classes and things of this nature. Remember, May 17th, the I3 representative from Detroit, Michigan will be coming down and hanging out with us and talking about makerspace stuff.
I'm really looking forward to that.
I
That's
am.
going to be a lot
I
of
am
fun.
too. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm excited. And go to Greynoise for information on us. That's GREYNOI.SE. As always, remember, we do not talk shit about Sweden. At least we did in this episode, right? So we can still use that domain.
I like them.
Cool, yeah. All right, my name is Master Chen.
This is Doxy.
And I'm Richard Satchel.
Good night, everybody.
I don't know what I was gonna say.
I don't even.
I don't know why I decided to talk.
I tried to even.